The Croat nationalists, the Ustase, were led by men who were straightforward fascists and collaborated openly and happily with Hitler, providing armed militias to combat Tito's multi-ethnic guerrilla army. In Serbia, the Chetniks did not collaborate openly, but their hostility to Tito was on a par with that of the Ustase. No sane British presence in Yugoslavia could have advised anything else but supplying Tito's forces with arms and supplies. Churchill's son, Randolph, had been parachuted into the country, and he, too, was impressed by the communist led resistance. The only dissenting voice was that of the novelist Evelyn Waugh, who took an early dislike to Tito. The resistance that was fighting defensive battles on the peaks and in the chasms of Montenegro combined a tough discipline and dogmatism. The Wehrmacht, where they were fighting against, displayed the same levels of brutality against Southern Slavs as it did in the Soviet Union. Their Ustase allies, keen to display their total embrace of fascist values, were even worse. Tito, the undisputed leader of the Yugoslav resistance, and his comrades on the leadership hailed from all nationalities. Tito, a Croat; Kardelji, a Sloven; Dzilas, a Montenegrin; Rankovic, a Serb. The major political thrust of the resistance stressed the unity of the embryonic Yugoslav state being created in the mountains. The Kosovars, then and post war, were never fully integrated. Yugoslavia, China, and Vietnam were the three states where the effective resistance led by the communist parties resulted in revolutions. The party armies were also institutions of a dual power. The spirit of the Yugoslav resistance was recalled decades later by the SOE radical Basil Davidson as he observed with sadness the breakup of Tito's Yugoslavia. In September 1943, I was with the partisan Third Corps when it took the Croat held town of Tuzla in northern Bosnia by storm. After days of fighting, the enemy lost several hundred killed and as many wounded. There were also, according to my notes, rather more than 2,000 Croat prisoners. These prisoners of war were conscripts of the Croat independent state promoted by Hitler. After that tough battle, these prisoners lost their weapons and their footwear, boots being rarer in the partisan army than weapons. But they did not lose their lives or their liberty. They were quickly set free and sent home with the advice, cheerfully enough conveyed, that they waste no time in getting themselves rearmed and captured again. After that grim war, Tuzla managed to grow into a flourishing town, and repeated calls for peace and reconciliation, which have come from there during these last few years, have seemed to me to recall and revive the partisan experience of bratstvo I jedinstvo, the brotherhood and unity, for which the partisan brigades had fought. Why did the British back Tito? It was a strategic decision necessitated by the defection of the Serbian Chetnik commanders to the Axis in 1942. At that time, only the Chetniks could have effectively sabotaged enemy communications. Instead, they began to help the Germans. Churchill reacted angrily. He first reduced the supply of weapons to them and then, after all appeals and inducements had failed, decided to cut off all further supplies in 1943. This left Tito's partisans as the only available force in the country.